All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. If you're listening, and I just want to again reiterate what I said in my short earlier. Thank you so much for um, the support you've shown already, whether it was intentional or not. Some of my videos have been getting some pretty good views, and I'm very thankful for that. Thank you for watching. Just trying to make some entertaining content here, and really, I'm not saying anything that I don't think or believe. I'm just sharing my opinions. I love sports talk. I love sharing my opinion. I grew up getting in arguments with my brothers and debating sports and all of that. So I like having strong takes. It's just a fun thing to do in life. So thank you for everyone who has tuned in so far to my shorts and some of my videos. I very much appreciate it. Like I said in the short, what would really help out is if we could get if you're watching the material, please subscribe. Obviously, a lot of the views I'm getting are from unsubscribers, or non-subscribers. So if you could subscribe, I would appreciate it, and I'll do my best to make some entertaining content in the future. Honestly, I got real comfortable over there at my house, and I was watching Monday Night Football, and I know I said in the short I was gonna make a video tonight, and I was getting comfortable, and I was like, I don't know if I want to stop watching football and go make another video. And then I looked on my YouTube account, and I got another subscriber, and so I said, I gotta go make another video. So I work two jobs, and this is just something that I really am doing for fun, and I hope to see. Hopefully have some success at it, and I enjoy doing it. So if there's anything you enjoy at all, even if you enjoy hating my takes, just subscribe, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So what I want to do here in this probably not too very long episode or video, whatever you want to call it, is I want to read through just a couple comments. I've gotten some comments from you guys, had some interactions with a couple of you that have come across the content, and I really appreciate it. So I really like this aspect of it. This is what I really like about this is just me saying something, you guys disagreeing with it, agreeing with it, making your own arguments, whatever. I really enjoy that, and so I appreciate the interaction. This is why I want to get to 50 subscribers. I tried to do a live. I looked into doing a live video, and it said you have to have 50 subscribers or something. So if I get to 50 subscribers, I totally want to get on and have some live takes, and you guys comment on it, and we can interact live that way. I would really, really enjoy that if we can get to 50 subscribers. So we'll see. But anyways, what I want to do is just read through a couple comments. I want to talk about just a couple of the hot topics right now. Notre Dame missing the playoff. Crimea River, Alabama. Alabama. A lot of people saying Alabama shouldn't be in. Notre Dame should have been in front of Alabama. And obviously, one of my big qualms and something I'm just kind of shocked that nobody's talking about is Vandy not getting in. Look at the end of the day. I think I mostly feel bad for a team like that who's smaller, and they should, they had a great year. They went 10-2 with a really really rough schedule, and they played good. I think they deserve a playoff spot, but they're just not a big enough school. That's the kind of stuff, the favoritism and stuff that just aggravates me. It's not fair to a team like Vandy, and the fact that they've got to sit home and watch teams like Tulane and James Madison, who played nobody all year, play in the playoff. It just irks me. But whatever. So we'll talk about that a little bit, and I'm going to end with picking my playoff bracket and how I think that's all going to shake out. So, but anyway, so just start looking through some of these comments here. So way back on my one of my second video that I posted where about talking about Ohio State and the Hoosiers, and I hope Ohio State loses, and how kind of vented about how Ohio State doesn't play anybody, and I stick by that. They don't play. I never wanted to say that Ohio State is not a good football team. I think they're a good football team. They've been a good football team. Obviously, they attract a ton of talent. They put a ton of talent in the pros. They're a good football team. I just wish, with how dominant they are in recruiting, that they had to play teams also. Okay, they just, the SEC's down there. They're beating each other up, and Ohio State, they just have a free pass to the playoff every year, and it's just it's a little bit annoying. But obviously, Ohio State fans did not like that very much, which is totally fine. I get it. I'm a true fan of LSU. I'm going to defend my team to the end, and I respect anybody else who does that as well. But Caleb Holder by 7583 said, "Hate us cause you ain't us." Signed, Ohio. Hey, I hear you. I wish LSU was in there. So you guys are in. I obviously LSU was trash this year, so big disappointment. So you got me on that one. Let's see what else we got here. Um, One guy said, "I guess you think LSU should be in since you got a coach that crapped on his team that was in the playoff. Typical LSU." I mean, I don't know about that. I don't know that was Mr. Bo 1963. Um, no, I definitely don't think LSU should get in. As I responded, LSU was terrible. Just giving my opinion on the teams that are in or not in. Just like talking about sports, whether it's my team or not. Um, let's see. MC Honkler 7225 commented, "OSU smoked you SEC scrubs last year in the playoffs, or do you not remember?" Hey, fair enough. No, look, last year, I will say, last year was one of the most impressive runs that I've ever seen from an Ohio State team. I honestly, I didn't say anything about Ohio State last year. Although I will say, every year I will say this about Ohio State is that they don't play anybody every year. Again, I think that Ohio State was the best team in football last year, and they proved that in the playoff. That's what I also like about the playoff is that you got to go in, and you got to prove yourself for at least a couple games before you just walk into the national championship game. So, but yeah, last year Ohio State definitely smoked. Every team they played, and they waltzed into a championship. So kudos to them. My whole rant was they need to play. They don't play anybody until the playoffs. So um, let's see. Homan 08 commented, "Dude, get a life. I'm sorry LSU kept getting their butts kicked. Go Bucks." Hey, fair enough. We did. This was a stinky year for us. Look, this guy, he's an Ohio State fan, and he's saying his piece. I totally get it, Homan 08. Thank you for your comment. Let's see what else we got here. Um, let's see. So there's one comment that actually agreed with my takes. Only one. I know there's people who listened to my take and agreed with it, but they are not the ones who comment. It's only the negative people, the people who are against it that comment, which is fine. I want all the comments. But if you agree with one of my takes, hey, say something to agree with me on there. But I can't read this, but Alberech Jacob T. He commented, "I think we, the collective college football fan base, recognize that OSU is a good football team, a very good football team. The argument is that they don't have to play anyone until the last 2 weeks of the year. The SEC is a battle every week. The Big Ten has maybe two good teams every year." And essentially, that's my whole argument. It's never been to say that Ohio State is not a good team. It's just they really get they have a free pass to the playoffs. So there are lots of teams in it. Like Vanderbilt is probably better than maybe half the field in the playoff bracket right now. But because they played in the SEC, I mean they don't get a chance. Vanderbilt could go toe to toe. I'm convinced with Ohio State. I think they would lose, but I think that Vanderbilt could go toe to toe with Ohio State in a championship game. That's how good they are. But they're not even in the playoff. So that's all I'm talking about. I talked about the Sunday morning. I talked about Alabama a little bit, how they lost to Georgia, and kind of asked Alabama fans how y'all feeling about that. I had a guy, to Terrace a Painter 4121. He said, "Roll Tide, we stand with our team and our coach. Alabama is a tradition, a championship like no one, a championship like champion like no one else." Hey, I have total respect for that. That's a true fan, and I definitely respect you standing by Kalen DeBoer. One thing that definitely wouldn't have been fair to Kalen DeBoer is for the heat to gone up on him too quick in Alabama because look, nobody was going to replace Saban. You're talking about the greatest coach in the history of the sport, and so there's got to be some grace in Alabama for Kalen DeBoer, even if it doesn't go um, perfect. Um, I talked about how Vanderbilt should have been in the playoff. They shouldn't be having to watch James Madison and Tulane play. Maybe a 16-team playoff would fix this, I said. And the reason I said this, well, first let me read the comment, the response to this. A guy said Vanderbilt question mark. This is defund the tyrants. Commented this. Vanderbilt, a 16-team playoff won't fix it either. Well, my argument is that there's only like two teams, really like two or three teams that are out look that think they should be in this year, like Notre Dame, Vanderbilt, Texas. You know those, and one of the reasons a couple of those teams are not in is because of the SEC. I mean, the conference champion winners, they get an automatic pass in, even though it's a terrible. James Madison is in a pathetic conference. Tulane's in a pathetic conference, and yet they get to be in the playoff. I mean, it's a joke. They shouldn't be in there. They're not good enough to play in the playoff, and you've got teams that are good enough just sitting out and watching them play. So you add 16-team playoff, you at least get to keep the conference champions in. So James Madison, Tulane get to go in, and then you get to add in your Vanderbilt gets in, Texas gets in, Notre Dame gets in, and let them all duke it out. So I think it will help. There will always, I get it, there will always be people saying, oh, why couldn't we get in the 16-team playoff? But there's really only every year a couple teams that are on the outside looking in that really deserved to be in there. Let's see. Somebody said Shane 4643 said Vandy got robbed. Question mark. LOL. Hey, obviously thought my take was silly. That's fine. He replied. I said yeah, in my opinion. And he said Texas beat three top 10 teams, one of which was Vandy. The ones they lost are the number 2 and number 3 in the final poll. Vandy beat one top 10 team at the time. That team now absent in the polls, LSU. So I think you haven't thought this through as much as you think. Listen, this is and I totally respect that. I agree. Texas had a very tough schedule. And obviously this is in response to me saying that Texas should that Texas, they weren't good enough. They had 3 losses. They shouldn't be in the playoff, and Vandy should be in. I mean, look, Vandy's 10-2, and they lost to Texas. They lost to Alabama, but they played a lot of really tough teams. I mean, yeah, they beat LSU, who ended up not ranked, but LSU was, we weren't a pushover. Okay, we got a very tough defense. We almost beat OU and with on defense alone. So we weren't a pushover squad. They beat Tennessee. I mean, Vandy had a tough schedule, came out 10-2. My rule of thumb in a 12-team playoff is if you've lost 3 games and there's other teams that like Vandy that played a tough schedule that only lost 2, you can't get in. Like so, and so I just that's my take on that. 3, like if I take it from my perspective as an LSU fan. If LSU had 3 losses, I would not expect to get in. I would have a hard time. I would have a hard time justifying arguing that LSU should be in with 3 losses, and that's my team. So that's just the way. If you got 3 losses, there's too many teams trying to get in for a 3-loss team to be able to get in. Again, that's just my opinion. So. So these are some of the comments. Another Philip 1040. I wanted to read this last one, or 2 more actually. Philip 1040 said, "Texas, you can't get in because you had 3 losses." Quoting me. So how does that logic explain Alabama being in with 3 losses? Well, I heard a lot of people talking about how the 3rd loss in the SEC championship doesn't count because essentially Alabama's playing an extra game that everybody else doesn't have to play. So I get that, but I'll tell you this: I don't think Alabama should have been in with 2 losses because their 2 losses were so bad. Like If you've got Vandy lost to Alabama and Texas, so Alabama lost to nobodies. So, in my opinion, Vanderbilt should have been in over Alabama. I don't think Alabama should have gotten in. So, that's my. I think Vandy should have been in that spot 100%. No, Notre Dame fans, I do not think Notre Dame should have gotten in. So, Van, Bill Billward Low 8907 said Bama shouldn't be in as a 10-3 team, and they lose the championship. Vandy all the way. Yeah, I agree 100%. Alabama should not have been in. Alabama should not have been in. That should have been Vanderbilt. So that's how it should have. That's how it should have played out. So one thing I wanted to address is like one thing that's just blown up everywhere, especially on the national media, is Notre Dame is just getting robbed. They should be. I'm over that. Okay, Notre Dame has been anything but robbed. Notre Dame has always gotten the benefit of the doubt. Here's a team who won't join a conference. They play a weak schedule, although the irony is this year I actually think they played a more impressive schedule than they've played in a little while. Okay. That being said, I'm about to read their schedule and say why they need to stop. Okay. They need to stop. Notre Dame did not deserve to be in the playoff. And I'm glad, and here they are pouting to the level that they're not playing a bowl game. They don't get their way. They don't get in. Now they're not even going to play a bowl game. I mean, come on, guys, really. Let's be better than that. But Notre Dame absolutely does not deserve to be in the playoff. Okay, Notre Dame had two losses. Okay, and they scheduled two tough games this year. Let me tell you, they scheduled two tough games, really three tough games, I want to say. They scheduled Miami and Texas A&M, and granted, they played these teams pretty close, but they lost to the two good teams on their schedule. I mean, they lost to both the good teams that they put on the schedule. Everyone else is a cupcake. Not everyone. They played USC. They beat them. They beat Arkansas. Arkansas is no good this year. So the only other team they beat that was ranked at all this year was USC. So look, you guys, if Vanderbilt's not in, you're not in. Okay, if Vanderbilt's not good enough to get in with the schedule they played, then you're not able to be in. You guys just need to. You guys are always in when you shouldn't be. You are always in when other people are on the outside looking in. Just take your lumps this year, okay? Join the club, all right? Go join a conference. First of all, if you would have joined the conference, you would have had a chance to play in a conference championship game and get yourself in. So get in a conference and stop whining, okay? No, Notre Dame does not deserve to be in. Alabama, I already talked about them quite a bit. I do not think they should have been in. 100% my pick would have been to put Vanderbilt in that spot. I think they earned it. Alabama, I have no confidence in them. They haven't looked great all year. They've looked, they're good. They're a good team. But anyways, those are the my opinions on those. Notre Dame shouldn't be in. Alabama shouldn't be in. Vandy should have been in. Texas, look, Texas got a lot better at the beginning of the year. Texas they're going to be a problem next year. If Arch kind of continues he seemed to really progress in a short amount of time at the end of this year. So, Arch, if he continues to progress, takes that progression into the next year, Texas is going to be a problem next year. Absolutely. But just was a little, too little, too late. So, anyways, those are some of my opinions on that. And now let's just go ahead and get to the bracket, and let's get to this bracket. Where did I put that? There it is. Go over here. There it is. All right. Here's our bracket. So we've got in the first game, we've got James Madison versus Oregon. We've got Alabama, number 9 Alabama versus number 8 Oklahoma. We've got number 11 Tulane versus number 6 Ole Miss. We've got number 10 Miami versus number 7 Texas A&M. Okay, so let's start up here in these first games. So Oregon is obviously going to beat James Madison. If they didn't, um, that would just be. I will just eat my words on that. That is, Oregon should handle James Madison quite easily. So James Madison. So Oregon will go on to play Texas Tech. Then we've got Alabama, and we've got Oklahoma. So Alabama versus Oklahoma. This is a tough one. I'm going to go and say that Oklahoma is going to beat Alabama in this game. I do not have confidence in Alabama. I just don't. I don't have confidence in, honestly, I don't have a lot of confidence in Kalen DeBoer. I just feel like he's kind of shrunk under the SEC pressure. And, you know, I don't know. I've heard a lot of guys like me on the internet who really probably don't know anything, but just talking about the possibility of Kalen DeBoer kind of maybe wanting to get out of Alabama more than he maybe thought he would have at this point. I kind of agree with that. Sometimes I just look at him like I don't know if he's liking this. I don't like no. The SEC is a different world. You came and stepped into the shoes of one of the greatest coach all time in college football. I'm not sure he even is sure about how long he wants to be in Alabama. So I just don't have confidence in Alabama. I'm going to Oklahoma to win that game and go on and play Indiana. All right, so let's move on to Tulane and Ole Miss. Um, this is a tough one because Ole Miss is obviously missing their coach. They've been through so much, losing Lane Kiffin and all of that. Tulane still has John Summerall, and John Summerall is a very great coach. The problem is, I just don't believe Tulane has the talent to keep up with Ole Miss. I believe that Ole Miss wins this game. First of all, they're at home. And second of all, their talent is just going to be far superior to Tulane. And so, just on the sheer fact that Ole Miss is at home and they have way more talent, they're going to beat Tulane and they're going to move on to play Georgia. Um, Number 10, Miami versus Texas A&M. This one's a tough one. I'm going to be honest. I think that it could go either way, but I'm here to pick teams, so I'm going to pick. And I'm going to pick in this game. I'm going to pick that Texas A&M is going to pull this one off, and they are going to go on and play Ohio State. So I'm picking Texas A&M to beat Miami in that first game. Oh, and I'm still not sure about that. I'm not 100% sure about that. So let's go back up and let's move on here. So Oregon will go on to play Texas Tech. Number 4, Texas Tech. Oregon is going to beat Texas Tech. I was shocked. I looked at Texas Tech's schedule and I was like, wow, they didn't play anybody. It was like, I thought Texas Tech played better teams than they had. They didn't. So Oregon will go on to play Texas Tech, and Oregon's going to beat Texas Tech. I'm pretty confident in that. So I have a lot of confidence. I have a lot of confidence in Dan Lanning. I just think he's a great coach, and I think he's going to cruise through Texas Tech. I think they're going to cruise through James Madison and Texas Tech. Then you've got Indiana, and you've got Oklahoma. Um, this is where it starts getting tough for me because I said in an earlier episode that I want Indiana to win it all. I'm rooting for that underdog. A lot of family. I was born in Indiana. No loyalties there. I was 8 months old when I moved, but still, my parents are from Indiana, and so there's something in me that wants Indiana to win that game. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say that Indiana's going to win that. I think that the way they played Ohio State, and although I still think Ohio State was a better team than Indiana, I'm going to go ahead and say Indiana is going to beat Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl. Um, so all right, and then we move on, and we've got Georgia versus Ole Miss. This is a quick one, easy one for me. Georgia is going to beat Ole Miss. I feel very strong about Georgia. I feel way more confident about Georgia than anybody else in the playoff. Ole Miss just is not going to be able to overcome losing Lane Kiffin and all of that and beat Georgia, a stacked team with one of the best coaches in college football. Georgia wins that, and they move on. And then it's Ohio State versus Texas A&M, and I'm going Ohio State. This is an easy one for me as well. I'm going Ohio State to beat Texas A&M, and they are going to move on to play Georgia. All right, so let's finish this out. So we're going to move on and have so who do we've got Indiana and we've got Oregon playing each other at this point. So I picked Indiana and Oregon. Indiana, Oregon. I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say that Oregon is gonna beat Indiana. Um, they're gonna Indiana. Yeah, Oregon's gonna beat Indiana. As much as I want Indiana to win, I'm picking Oregon to win that game and move on to the national championship. All right, and then we come down Georgia, Ohio State, the big one, and this one honestly is a quick one for me. I just feel like Georgia is too strong. They're my pick ultimately, but Georgia is going to beat Ohio State, and Georgia is going to move on and play Oregon in the championship. And I believe in the championship that that Georgia is going to beat Oregon and Georgia will be national champs this year. So those are my bracket picks, and we'll see how it turns out. So as it goes on, week by week, I'm sure I will get on and address where I was right and where I was wrong, and those sorts of things, and where I think it's going to go. I'll update it from there. So you guys, look, please share your comments in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you think. I want to see y'all's brackets. What do y'all think is going to happen? So let me know. Comment. Who do you think is going to win the national championship? Let me know what you think about some of the things I said about Notre Dame and all of that. You agree, disagree, whatever it is. Comment. Let me know. And also, please subscribe. At this point, my goal is to get to 50 subscribers so that I can start doing live interactions with you guys. That would be sounds so much fun to me. So if y'all could help me get to 50 subscribers, go ahead, like the content, subscribe, comment, tell me what you think, give me your opinions, tell me how wrong I am. I don't care. I love all of it. So anyways, thank y'all so much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time.